Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today is a special edition because we wanted to get one out right before the RMAI conference happens next week. And today I have some very special returning guests with me today. I have Dara Tarkowski and Randy Rivera from Quointec. How you doing today, guys?
We're
Great
awesome.
Year. Opening day in Chicago, so we're great.
Oh, fantastic. Good to hear. Can you guys tell everybody a little bit about yourselves and about Quointec?
Sure, I'll take that. So Quointec is a subsidiary of Actuate Law, and what we do is create solutions that use technology to automate legal and compliance functions. And long story short, we think that spending a lot of unnecessary money on legal and compliance is not fun, and so that's what Quointec is. We use tech to enable efficiency.
So you're using technology as a law firm to reduce legal bills.
Yeah, I know. It sounds sort of crazy, right?
It actually sounds quite awesome, especially for those of us that tend to pay those bills. So I think that's really fantastic. That you guys are leveraging tech for that purpose. Now, I know you guys had done a demo for me the other day, and I was so excited about it that I wanted to kind of share it with the world here. And that's why you guys are joining me today. So can we talk a little bit about the ARM Communications Advisor and what that actually is from a technology perspective? Because you guys live right at the intersection of technology and law. And this was one of the most exciting pieces of tech that I've seen in a long time as a compliance professional.
Sure. So the ARM Communications Advisor, I think just turned, Randy, what is it? It just turned 1. It's still a baby. It's still a toddler. But it's a really, really powerful tool that we spent probably a year and a half designing as a result of, anyone who's worked with me in the industry thinks of me probably as a traditional lawyer. I litigated for a lot of companies within the industry for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems we kept running into sort of industry-wide were just the barrage of cases, really frivolous cases about silly, problematic language issues in letters, right? In letters and all communications. And it was constant. My clients were constantly defending against frivolous lawsuits. But the problem with, letter cases is that they were instant classes. So they were expensive to defend, they were expensive to settle. And it just sort of became this cost of doing business, but it was a constant distraction, and frustration. And part of the result is the manner in which a lot of companies within receivables management were doing their letter reviews. Every client I work with, they don't ignore their communications. An industry best practices for a long time is, you do an annual review of all of your letters, you make updates where necessary, you put the new letters into the rotation and keep your fingers crossed that the law doesn't change. Mm-hmm. Well, the law does change all the time, week to week, decision to decision. And it's literally impossible for a human to keep track of that properly. So what we wanted to do was sort of change the notion of what best practices were when it came to reviewing your communications and moving it from a manual review to an automated review. And the only way to do that is through the use of robust technology that captures a lawyer's brain. So that's literally what the tool is. It's an automated set of rules. It's the entire body of FDCPA case law, literally to the last 48 hours. State rules, federal rules, any rule you can imagine that's been automated. So you can literally upload your letters, click a button, run the rules, and get a report saying where your letter may or may not have broken a rule. That's it.
Wow. Okay, so if I'm a large collection agency with 100 clients and potentially thousands of letters that ultimately need to be reviewed, I can now plug them.
It's called a target, Adam. You're a target.
And I can feel it painted on my back right now. But so now I can take all of those letters that was manually going through a legal review, regular compliance reviews, and not only get an immediate result on where do I stand in terms of the law, but also kind of manage my ongoing monitoring of my letters. So like once my letters are in there, I'm going to get updates if there's something that changes. So as the law changes, I'm being alerted to it versus me having to kind of hunt that information down.
Right. And the idea is that you upload them as you get them, right? So periodically, you can do it every week, every 2 weeks, every month. But the idea is that there's an easy cadence to it because all you have to do is click a button. You're not sending large batches of letters to lawyers to review anymore, to charge you by the hour or by the letter to review. This is a tool to design internal compliance departments and internal legal departments to empower themselves. Now, the beauty of it is that like Actuate Law is sitting there on the side and to the background to assist you should you need anything further, but you don't need to be a client of the law firm to use this tool. So, in case there were any, myths or questions there, this is really designed to be a self-service tool. We will get you set up. But the idea is to reduce outside counsel legal spend because there are better ways for you guys to be using your dollars. Use them on the hard cases, not on the silly ones.
Completely understood, and there's plenty of those silly ones out there. To build something like this, you must need quite a few different points of view, debt buyer agencies and whatnot, in order to kind of solve this problem because it's a big, complex of a beast problem. So, what kind of groups were you guys working with to solve this?
So this is interesting because I think that obviously there are clients already, folks that are that are managing the process. But one of the things that evolved out of the so obviously we used debt buyers, people that are consistently servicing portfolios. But the more interesting component of the feedback that we got is as we started showing people what we built,
Mhm.
alternate use cases came about. And one of the things that I really appreciated about the way our technology partners helped us build this is the flexibility and the nimbleness that they they put on the platform. And because every institution, every organization is different. And so the rules that they need to apply are different. Darren, maybe you could share a little bit about what the process is like, how it changes from client to client. Because I think that's one of the things that we were surprised by is that we thought there would be this universal approach. Thankfully enough, we created something that's flexible enough and that we can customize.
Mhm.
But we learned in the process it's different.
Yeah. So the way the platform was built as we were going through sort of our investigation period, and Adam, to like directly answer your question, we worked very closely with a large national debt buyer with an agency network. So not only did that debt buyer use it for themselves, but they also used it as an audit tool to audit all of the letters that were being sent by their agencies
Okay.
to, again, take a manual audit process and then automate it. So through that, we decided to build the platform very open and very flexible. So a customer, regardless of where you sit sort of in the receivables ecosystem, you could be a bank, you could be a debt buyer, you could be an agency, you could be a law firm. However you interact with consumers, the platform is flexible enough so that you design it the way your workflow works. Everything is driven off of creditor profiles, vendor profiles. And one thing that I didn't talk about was the aspect of building in business rules. So we were talking about the legal and the compliance part of it with regards to case law and statutes, but another part of this investigation period really came out that compliance with your contracts and your business rules, getting through your bank audits, is equally and sometimes more important than that. Because if your banks don't want to sell to you because you're constantly, not following their guidelines as to what needs to be or doesn't need to be in your communications, that sucks. And the whole point is that you keep getting to buy portfolios and you get to keep making money. So the platform is also built such that we can review purchase sale agreements, vendor guidelines, and build in business rules associated with those communications on top of the actual legal rules that need to be followed.
Wow. So it provides more of an all-inclusive kind of solution in terms of the written documentation that's going to and from the agency or from the debt buyer, which is fantastic. I had not really considered the use of this tool from a debt buyer's perspective to audit their entire network, because what a huge time saver if I've got 45 or 50 agencies in my network, my ability to just audit them or to automatically have those letters loaded, I think is a huge value add for the compliance team, because that's got to take up a significant amount of time. And I think it probably also increases the value of the review itself, meaning that it's coming from automated business rules and legal minds rather than kind of line level compliance staff that may have auditors that may have been doing it with less legal experience.
Yeah,
I think the part of it that, sorry, Randy, go ahead.
Yeah, the other unique aspect that we didn't expect is it's great if you are reviewing or thinking of buying a portfolio, because litigation risk is obviously inherent anytime you acquire something. But that's something that came out of our conversations in our investigation in terms of the space, is that if you can identify what you're at any point when you're buying anything, you want to make sure you understand what the risk associated with that asset is. In this case, litigation risk associated with communications is really, it's nice to check that box off, and uploading all the letters that the company sent before helps you understand that. So that's another, in addition to the business rule, that's another thing we found through the process, is that's a really interesting tool for people that are buying debt.
The thing that I was going to add is, I think one of the most important parts of compliance generally is objectivity. And humans are inherently flawed. And the level of objectivity that you get from person to person, from auditor to auditor, and anyone who's ever sat through any kind of audit, whether it's a regulatory one, a bank audit, whoever, knows that you get one person on one day in a good mood and a different person on a different day in a bad mood. The audit results, regardless of how compliant you are, can come out vastly different. What I love about the use of technology for this is that it is objective. You are evaluating everything objectively based on the same rules in an automated, very controlled way. So it's not about, this compliance professional has a good relationship with this agency, so we're going to let that letter slide through, or everyone is on an even playing field. And I think that particularly with the change of administration, with the new regulatory environment, which everyone has universally agreed is going to be seriously enhanced and taken up a notch from where it's been the past 4 years, being able to demonstrate that objectivity, I think, is going to be very important.
I agree, right? Being able to take the human aspect out of compliance is always important. I think it also gives you better tracking capacity and abilities, and I'm assuming a more defensible position, because now you're going to have an audit trail of all of these checks and balances that you've been through.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the use of it for bona fide error defenses, because I don't want anyone to pretend all of a sudden plaintiff's bar is going to stop filing letter cases. Of course they're not. But here you actually have a way to demonstrate a true bona fide error defense when it comes to your letters, where I think that was very difficult and expensive to prove up before.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It just feels like that running it through the technology is going to provide that audit trail, is going to demonstrate that you have actually been through these processes, versus I don't even know how you would prove it before, that I sat under this camera and read some letters. I'm not quite sure how that, I'll leave that to the great legal minds of the industry. And I'll stay here focused on
the Adam, that's why so many of these cases settle. So we'll leave it at that.
Completely understood. So that really great tool, guys. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing this out into the industry and actually watching some more groups start to use it and see the true effect that it has for them. I think that's going to be a really exciting process. Now, I know that you guys are going to be out at the RMAI conference next week, so I'm sure people can reach out to you for a meeting or a demo. I know that you're hosting a cabana at the Cabana Crawl, which will be awesome. So very much looking forward to that. And otherwise, if you guys want to reach Dara or Randy, you can also go to the Quointec website, which we'll put in the description below, and go fill out the contact form on their website to set up a meeting or to get in contact with them. I think if you've got a little bit of time at the conference, this is time well spent. I had an opportunity, I think I said earlier, to watch this demo about a week ago and immediately invited them to come on a Receivables Roundtable special edition that I wanted to get out before the conference, because I think this is something that everybody needs to be taking a look at and considering for their business. So I can't thank you guys enough for coming on again today and being my first repeat guest. And I hope that you will join us yet again in the future as well.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having us back.
Thanks, Adam.
We really
Always
appreciate
great.
it. And I think the last thing I'd say is that, the tool was a labor of a lot of love. It was a lot of love. And we're both really, really proud of it.
There's a lot of labor, but definitely a lot of love as well. I agree with Dara and appreciate the opportunity to just share, what it's become, and look forward to hopefully sharing with many of the folks at the conference. Also look forward to seeing people in person.
Yes, people. Hooray for
Right?
people.
Yeah, very looking forward to seeing you guys. I feel like we've been apart for way too long. So thank you again, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it. For anybody who's watching today, feel free to ask questions or comments below. We are happy to answer any questions that you have. Also, please share our content, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff that you can do on YouTube and LinkedIn. And we will see you at the ARMAI annual conference next week. So thank you, everybody, and really appreciate your time today.
Thanks again, Adam.
Bye.